Welcome back to the Loss Prevention News Network. I'm Joe LaRocca. You can follow me on Twitter at LaRoccaJ. And I've substituted Amber Bradley for my good friend Jim Shepard with Protection One. Jim, thanks for coming back on for another segment. Happy to have you here.
Sorry to disappoint, but I don't look as good as Amber.
Oh, come on now. You're we can talk shop a little, right?
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about alarms, and this segment, what I'd really like to talk about are these annoying and expensive false alarm fines that come mainly in major cities, but it's a costly issue. Can you frame for me, tell me what false alarm fines mean in your world? You're a leader in alarm technology and preventing these types of fines. So what does that mean in the business? And let's drill down a little bit.
Well, to us, it means that we just basically tell you had an alarm again, and you get to show up the next day and realize there wasn't one. But to a retailer that has a lot of brick and mortar sites, let's say in Prince George County, for example,
Yep.
or in California, the fines are sometimes compounded. I have seen fines compound up to the thousands of dollars, as much
Wow.
as $15,000, $20,000 for false alarms in any single given year. Unfortunately, a lot of retailers don't have visibility to this, so it's usually departmentalized at the store level or someplace else in their corporate structure and not seen in the P&L. And it's something that's certainly unbudgeted for, and a surprise at the end of the year when you've surpassed your budgeted number for that. A lot of the large retailers can see anywhere from $250,000 a year to as much as $1 million a year, depending
Wow.
on what jurisdictions they're in and how well or not well they police their own alarms. Worst case is after they get so many false alarms, they'll either go to court or they'll go on a non-responder list, which is even worse because now the bad guys can break in and take all your nice things without anyone being dispatched whatsoever.
So let me translate that. So imagine being a retailer and coming into the company and saying, I can save you up to $1 million in false alarm fines. So an LP executive or business leader that's focused on that topic could, paying a little attention, maybe deploying some Protection One technologies, they could lower or eliminate those false alarm fines. How would they get there? Like what would a workaround be to minimize false alarm fines?
First steps is to evaluate all your processes. Believe it or not, it's just steps you can do to evaluate a false alarm. Do I really need a dispatch? Maybe I call the store first before I send the PD. Maybe I call a first responder, a manager who can assess the situation. Because believe it or not, a lot of false alarms are generated during the opening process or the disarm process. And quite frankly, they don't answer the phone, so the cops are automatically rolled.
Right.
You could probably cut back some of the alarms from that. And then I would look at video intervention, but not necessarily as the lead horse product for this. It needs to complement video tours, something you get on the LP side where it impacts your shrink dollar. It's so much easier to pay a false alarm fine is to put a lot of money in technology to offset that. So you have to find an ROI for video interventions that mean more to you on the LP programs.
And I think some of what you're saying is that the cameras that you're using for perhaps the video verified alarm could be used for the voice down during the daytime. And cameras today aren't used just by the loss prevention professional. They could be shared with the store operations people, some of the supply chain folks. They could be shared with visual, merchandise planners, etc. Is that true that you could leverage the technology to look at a real whole view of the store?
You can. It's a little easier to leverage analog because you can loop in, loop out, and share same cameras. With IP cameras, a little more of a challenge because you're sharing IP addresses.
Okay.
Can be done. The nice thing about IP is it can be an edge component. A lot of retailers that are in the box of 8,000 square foot or less can use a 360 camera, just one camera to cover an entire space and use it as an edge product versus having the NVR in place. The nice thing about the system we have is it's scripted, so that we sit down with the LP teams, we go over what to say, what we can and cannot do. In other words, the LP can write the script of what the operator says on that. We also have meetings with LP suppliers to tell us what to look for. An operator is not trained to think like a loss prevention agent, so we ask our retailers to sit down with us and teach us, if they were the one behind the screens looking at the camera, what they would look for to prevent false alarms and theft.
So rewind for a second on false alarm fines. If you have video verification, are you still charged for the police rolling? If you have video of a suspect in the store, even though they may not be apprehended, police roll, does that negate any of the false alarm fines?
It does. If it's a verified alarm, they will not fine you.
Okay. And Now with voice down technology, I assume that it's not just something you use during the day when the store is occupied. It's something you could use at night as well. So if somebody's broken into the store, there's a script the operator could read or an automated.
You can do one or two things. You can have an operator do an actual script where they read it and state it to the site. You're
What do they say? Like, get the hell out of my store?
Close to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on.
Because that's what I would say. I would say, hey, you in the jeans, get the hell out of my store.
Joe, go home.
I'd lace in some profanity so they know it's really me talking, but I
Exactly.
can't say that on camera.
They can either follow a script, or there's also equipment that has a recorded message as well. So if you walk in front of it, let's put a motion on the outside, not necessarily on the inside. Once they've broke the perimeter, they're pretty much committed to the crime. We would like to give them a turn signal before they break the perimeter wall, so they'll go away and maybe not do a crime there and do it someplace else.
And so what's the barrier to bringing this technology into the company? Is it cost? Is it the technology department thinking it takes up too much of the pipe? Are LP executives not understanding the capabilities? What barriers do you overcome?
If it's network and it's the customer's intranet, a lot of the IT securities do not like us to look down through their network. They're okay with events going out, but not going down.
Okay.
But we solve that with separate pipes. So it just has to have an open mind, look at pricing, give it a few demos, do some trial sites on your risk 5 stores and see if it has the impact to shrink.
That's great. So it sounds like Protection One has a number of solutions that you should take a look at. Jim, thank you so much for spending time with us again today. I'm Joe LaRocca. You can follow me at LaRoccaJ on Twitter. Send us your questions if you're watching live. And if you're watching it in delay, you can always hit us up on Twitter, LinkedIn. With that, I guess we'll turn it back over to Gus Downing. And he is talking to, wow, what a great panel back there of ORC and ORCA professionals, including Tariq Shepard from NYPD. Turning over to Gus and the NYPD right now.